Hi, everyone. I am here with Ann Koski today. She went to school for exercise science and has been coaching women for 27 years. She is a local Portland fitness coach, and her business byline is I help active middle-aged women thrive. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me how you started working with women in menopause and perimenopause. How did you get into that zone of that niche?
Oh, that's a great question. Of course, it happened to me, and then I realized how much how much I had to learn and how unique kind of part of our life it was, and actually how long it is too. So it wasn't just kind of a psh and done, move on. It was something that I really needed to learn about and kind of rewrite how I did everything for myself. And of course, I learned a lot in that process and
Mhm.
wanted to share that with people I was already working with. It just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, that's kind of the best way is when we're treating ourselves or our families, and we just kind of really become experts in our field that way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Experience goes a long way.
What are the unique challenges like that you notice when you're working with women in this age group for yourself or for the people you're working with?
Oh, definitely, of course, fitness is still kind of the Wild West. It's only been really organized to this level for my lifetime, maybe a little bit beyond that. And it because of that, there's a lot of insidious diet culture messaging, and it's really challenging to kind of struggle. I struggle myself with like trying to get people's attention by using some of that messaging, but then pulling them in and helping them understand how good they feel when they do it immediately, regardless of, how the clothes are fitting or what their big event is in 6 months. It's like so much more important than that. But it's really challenging for me to find the happy medium and not attract people with goals that are or people that are at a point where they have goals of transforming into their 30-year-old body.
I mean, it's
It's
so
really
hard.
tricky.
I'm in the same age group as you, and we grew up in
Hmm.
a time where that was the focus. It was like, how
100.
can you be skinny as possible, basically.
Yes, yes, it is such a mind shift. I feel like also it's such a great time for everyone to sort of experience this shift toward like, I want to take up space. I want to feel good. I want to learn how to do hard things and then go take a trip and not be as scared of getting, out there on that trail or whatever the goal is.
Yeah.
It's a great time for us to kind of hit the transformation button without really thinking too hard about the other things.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Like we're in like a stage where we see that there's no substance to that desire to just be
Mm,
whatever it is, skinny or I don't know, whatever that thing is that you're looking for. And we can actually like in this time of our life look for that quality or that depth.
definitely. Well said. I agree. It's definitely much more likely that we're going to be pulled in by those less significant things
Yeah.
that we weren't taught about when we were learning about how to move through life.
Yeah, and like this is getting a little, esoteric or something, but
Yeah.
I kind of wonder, do you have any ways that you kind of can help reset people who are falling back to those old tropes or ideas? Because he kind of can't help it. Even myself, I will be like,
Yeah.
no, I want to be strong and fit. And then a couple days I'll be like, oh my God, look at me in the mirror, or something like that. Do you
Yes.
have like ways to help support people?
Yes, definitely. Because I agree when totally. Those little negative things can that we, that poke at us sometimes can really derail us from doing really well at other things. Uh, so one of the things I offer is just to check in every week for people to identify three big win or little wins, not big ones, and a couple challenges, and then an action step around that challenge. So quite often the wins have to be, well, I got a vegetable and a protein on my plate at each meal. Yay,
Yeah.
uh, celebrating those small things that make huge impact later and focusing on how we feel rather than in the moment, rather than, those deadline goals or those long-term kind of outcome-based goals. We're focusing on the process 100%. We're focusing on learning how to take up space, not only in the room. I'm in a gym right now. I know it's blurred, but like making sure that you feel comfortable with the equipment and you feel confident to be in the space and you deserve to be there just as much as anybody else around you,
Mhm.
and kind of taking that education and that confidence forward into everything else that you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And I love it that you actually have these check-ins with people once a week because it's easy for people to fall off the wagon and get
Yeah.
frustrated and then just quit.
Yeah. And to be honest, missing a workout, having a really fun, like festive weekend, eating lots of treats, it's going to happen. So
Mhm.
like we have to remind ourselves, it's another really easy one to fall into, that, we need to figure out what we're going to do when that happens, not, if it happens.
Oh yeah.
We don't quit.
Yeah.
We just move on, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Love it. So I think most of us grew up thinking, or not you because you were into exercise science, but the rest of us were like, oh, we got to do, we have to run, we have to go to spinning class, we have to like just keep moving as much as possible, and eat nothing. And, that's how we're going to lose weight. And then we hit this time of our lives and we're like, not only does that not work for us with our energy levels, but also we're not losing weight.
It's so frustrating when you change nothing and the scale does go up or your clothes don't fit the way they used to anymore. It's such a, it's mind
Or
blowing.
I want to add in the other thing besides the weight loss, because see, I just fell back into weight loss again. I see a lot of my clients are like, I have lost my pelvic floor strength, or my back went out, or my neck hurts, or there's like, I keep doing the same things I've always done, but I'm not like strong in my body, and I don't tolerate that. I can't garden anymore without, having some kind of pain for the next week.
Right. Yeah, it's so sneaky how when we get into that window where we start perimenopause, and that window where we have our last period, and then maybe 2 or 3 years after that, we are so likely to lose a lot of muscle mass, and at a more rapid rate than we already were, which is fairly moderate, 3 to 8% per decade, and also gain more body fat, especially around our midsection. And in my experience, some of that's just going to happen. So it's another reason to focus on all the other benefits around training. One being, keeping our metabolic tissue, our muscle, keeping it functional. So keep it efficient, keep being able to reach over our heads for as long as we want to be able to do that. And just like anything, we don't use it, we lose it, right? So focusing on those things now, even if you had a crystal ball to see, perimenopause is probably coming soon. I'm going to start figuring this out before I start, getting to this point where I feel like everything's out of control. I can't sleep. I have
Hmm.
no energy. My clothes don't fit. Everything kind of feels overwhelming.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
it can be a really nice, empowering thing to figure out what's going to happen to me, and that's okay. And what am I going to do to feel good during this time?
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're coaching people, what does a typical hour-long session look like with you?
Yeah, great question. I work in two different ways with people. One is with coaching that includes my Menopause Body Blueprint course. It teaches a lot around nutrition that's going to feed our need to build muscle, build strength,
Hmm.
and also how that portion of it works. What actually needs to happen in the gym and why? I mean, why
Hmm.
is a big component of what I cover, because if the reason doesn't make sense, it's not going to stick.
Yeah.
It's just going to be another, another way to do it. Uh, and alongside that, I do one-on-one calls twice per month where we discuss and get into the weeds a bit with any of those topics. And I'm offering programming for workouts to be done at your location of choice. So if you have equipment at your house, you do your workouts there, or you can go to a local gym that you enjoy. I also offer as an additional portion a personal training session weekly so that we can kind of accelerate the learning around anything that you haven't done on your own before. Turns out a lot of women in our age group haven't really felt welcome in a weight room, haven't felt welcome to pick up anything more than 20-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
So it's a big opportunity to kind of step into a new space and get vulnerable and come away feeling really empowered and powerful in the process. Those
Yes.
are the big parts.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love that you work virtually with people. So can you have clients from anywhere, basically?
I can have clients from anywhere. And to be honest, it is the glue that goes beyond, like when I was just seeing people once or twice per week, we got to talk about things in that hour, but a lot of the time it was spent discussing, okay, what are we doing next? How much am I going to pick up? How many
Mhm.
reps? We didn't really get to discuss those other things happening in life. Nutrition is a huge component that we often could touch on and not get too much farther. So this element of being able to reach outside of that hour has been a really big game changer for people.
Wow. So what are the nutrition goals that you talk about with people?
Uh, the main goal is just getting really good at doing the most basic, boring stuff well
Yeah.
most of the time, or some of
Yeah.
the time even. So, we focus on eating from all three macronutrient categories: a carbohydrate, a protein, and a fat at each meal, and having meals spaced out regularly for most
Mhm.
of us, especially if you're trying to build strength. It's really hard to call coffee your breakfast and feel
Yeah.
energized for your workout and let your muscles be able to be repaired, which of course is only harder in menopause. Why
Mhm.
not make it harder?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And just from a little science perspective too, our bone health starts to decline before we reach menopause. And so latest research is showing that we want to be working with that bone before the period ends. And that's really the best treatment for osteoporosis is prevention. And it has to happen before you get that first DEXA scan usually.
that first DEXA scan is 65, right? If
Typically,
your
I mean,
doctor gives it to you.
I often have people run it before because
For
I'm in
sure.
preventative care. And so
Yep.
we can get insurance to cover it early, but most
Mm,
wellness visits you're going to have, your doctor's not going to recommend it until 65, well past
wow.
that perimenopause time.
Window. Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Yeah. So bone health too and muscle health both are
Hmm.
probably, I mean, they're interrelated. So,
I agree. I think if you see your bone health is declining, obviously strength training is going to be beneficial as well as other dietary changes. But I mean, even if you don't get a DEXA scan, if you're not strength training after 35, odds are increased that your bones and your connective tissue and your muscles are all declining.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a sad
hard.
state. But there's something we can do about it.
Yes, there is.
So, do you have like a case study you could share with us, or like, obviously don't share this person's actual name or anything, but just kind of like an idea of
Right.
what transformations you're seeing with middle-aged women?
Definitely. I have a client who has been working with me for 2.5 years now and came to me with this really kind of heart-wrenching story of going to the river with her friends, swimming around, having a good time. When she was ready to get out, she went to the dock, found there was no ladder. So she had to like try to haul herself up
Mhm.
onto the dock, the floating dock, and was unable to on her own, and finally like succumbed to having a couple young strapping boys grab, each arm and
Oh,
help pull her up over and it was just, it was the moment for
yeah,
her where she said to herself, okay, I can't do, something's got to change.
yeah,
I can't go on like this. And so she came to me and was really anxious about training in the gym, about being, around the equipment and learning how to use anything more than dumbbells. And so we gradually just started with the basics and got lots of practice coming into the space until she started feeling more comfortable in the space. And then we started working with new tools as her strength started to grow.
yeah.
We got to a point where the dumbbells and the kettlebells were no longer useful tools for her. She was too strong for them, essentially. So we started using these other pieces of equipment that are also pretty intimidating,
Mhm.
especially if we've never had, an experience here or there with,
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I never spent much time in the gym before I was probably in my 30s.
yeah.
So, I mean, like in the weight room.
Right, in the weight room, yeah. I never
Yes.
picked up a barbell till I met you.
Right. Yeah. And it's such a, yeah, so common for us to be kind of excluded or not even thought, we didn't even think to go in there.
No.
So now she just entered a competition for deadlifting only, which is basically picking up as much weight as you can off the floor one time. And I did that about 6 months ago. And I mean, just seeing her confidence, being in front of a stage, being on a stage in front of people and doing that uh, was like a huge step for her. And she lifted a ton of weight too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
she's actually really, really strong, and she is doing anything else she wants. She does some bouldering, and she feels really comfortable now at doing skills that she hadn't been able to do in the past,
yeah.
and is just crushing it. She's got more stamina to do those activities. She feels less risk for injury, and she feels just like ready to go for another, fun, scary thing because she did this, you know, thing in the gym that was really the beginning of it all.
That's amazing.
It's
That's
been cool.
really such a great story. I remember personally when I was working out with you, I just my back pain totally went away. There was just no back pain. So,
Wow. Yeah,
that's part of getting strong. It's not just being able to lift the biggest, most weight, but also just
definitely.
being pain free is huge.
Yeah, and sometimes building strength can be, the way that happens.
Yeah,
Not always, but quite often, little aches and pains just kind of dissipate the more strength we build.
yeah. Now, have you worked with any women who have chosen to start hormone replacement therapy? Just out of curiosity, even if you know that, and
Yeah.
if you've seen any difference in their progression with those hormones on board.
Yeah. Let me think. I haven't worked with anyone who has in the middle of our month multi-month window
Yeah.
started. So I haven't seen that transformation or anything change or not change based on that. I know for myself, it definitely I I was moving backwards. Like I was strength training and I was trying to eat more protein and doing some of the things that should have enabled me to feel good in my workouts and feel good in my day. And I just every day I woke up feeling like I was just, sagging more and
Yeah.
more toward the ground, just like I could not get the oomph up to do what I needed to do anymore.
Yeah.
And so taking hormone therapy enabled me to then make progress again. It took more than that. It took changing the way I trained and changing the way I ate
Yeah.
more so, making sure I ate enough food. I was not
Mhm.
eating enough of the right kind of
Mhm.
fuel. So uh, those changes wouldn't have made a difference in my mind. I don't think I could have made the changes for that matter without the help of hormone replacement therapy. It just was the thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
The crux.
I counsel people on that regularly that, if we add in hormones, also this is something you can do before the period stops. But it helps to maintain muscle, maintain bone, and also grow more muscle and bone. Where,
Yeah,
I mean, you can also obviously you don't have to use hormones, and there's lots of people who don't who also have great outcomes. But just curious if you've seen
right,
anything in that regard.
right. Yeah,
If
no,
some,
I would love to see more studies on that. I mean, I know there's a lot of research in postmenopause women
yeah,
primarily. I know I know they happen to have more time on their hands maybe too, but also it's just we didn't know that it's so necessary to understand the impact of missing that window of perimenopause to
yes.
postmenopause.
Yes, and it typically takes like what 20 years for new research to really hit primary
Mm,
care. So
hmm.
it's probably going to be a little while. And also,
Yeah,
there's all the, patriarchal reasons why we're not necessarily getting that information anyway. So I guess
right.
it's you and me can be
Right.
starting
It's
the
on
wave.
us. Let's
Yeah.
make sure you share this with your female friends, everyone
Yes.
watching right now.
Yes. Yes. So what are some ways that people can reach you, find you, work with you? How can we direct people to you?
Oh, definitely. I am most active on the internet on Instagram.
Okay.
My handle is at Homegrown Fit.
Okay.
And it's a great way for anyone who's curious about working with me to just kind of get to know me without necessarily just doing a cold call. Like I think that's so hard to know for sure if we're going to be a good fit by just having, a 30-minute to 45-minute conversation. So
Yeah.
you can learn a lot too. I have some educational stuff on there as well. You can go to my website also, homegrownfit.com, and there's a button where you can schedule a meeting with me, a call with me. And I also train locally in Portland out of Me Fitness Studios, which is where the echoey room I'm in now. And it's like I said, it's a great supplemental way to kind of learn the skills and get comfortable in the gym with somebody next to you, because I know it can be an intimidating transition.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in Northeast Portland. You're welcome to anyone who wants to just check out the space can come and tour the space without any commitment to join as well. So just kind of
Yeah.
see what it's like in here.
Well, I've had personal experience working with you, Anne, and it was amazing. She's brings you in such a gentle but directive way. There's zero intimidation. And I also liked and appreciated that you paid attention to our joint health and, warming us up and keeping us like lubricated and moving before we jumped into the weights. And I don't know, it's just, yeah, she's amazing. I highly recommend
Thank
Anne.
you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to just have a chat with me. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you on Instagram.
Definitely. Thanks again, Elise. It's been a great
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk soon.